Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on which part of the world you are in. Thank you for joining the very first edition of Out of the Box with Beyond 8. We all know we live in extraordinary times, something that feels like a science fiction movie, but this is a new reality. How does learning continue in this new reality? How do we embrace the new normal? That's exactly what we are speaking today. And in the first inaugural session of Out of the Box, we have with us two speakers. They're going to introduce you to this whole concept and introduce you to why Beyond Date and why should you follow our series. We have with us Raji. Raji is the Vice Principal of Head Start Learning Center and also the co-founder of Beyond Date. We also have Naveen with us. Naveen is the Director of Head Start Learning Center and the co-founder of Beyond Date. Without much delay, let me hand it over to Naveen.
Okay. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us this morning. I hope all of you are cheerful and healthy and at home. So the purpose of this conversation, like Vimal said, is to give you an introduction to Beyond Date, tell both young people and adults how we can use this period to learn things that we're interested in, and to give you an introduction to some of the upcoming speakers in Out of the Box. So how did Beyond 8 start? About 20 years ago, Raji and I, Raji, my wife and co-founder of Beyond 8, we started working in education, and we started sort of think about, what is an education? Why do people send children to school? What do teachers think their role is in social transformation? What do administrators think their roles are? And we started looking up, even the literature that was around education. What do syllabus framework developers think about education? And it helps to understand the history of anything, right? You understand what continues, what changes, what are the causes of something, and their consequences. What are the similarities of the past and the present conditions? What are the differences? And by attending a lot of classrooms everywhere and by looking at the literature, they all pointed to the same things. We were doing the wrong things rightly. We were all, when it comes to teaching, we were basically teaching everyone in the world to be able to do the exact same things in the exact same manner. Does that tell you something about where else we apply such ideas? In manufacturing, and we want to make chips, when we make cars and electronic gadgets, basically in all large-scale manufacturing units, you want to produce the exact same things quickly, correct? But we sort of take out the self-worth of human beings in this process. They're asked to take exams, and exams don't tell you anything significant about the future of young people at all. They are just closed systems. They are systems. They measure the ability of an entire school community, teachers, students, children, community members, all of their collective abilities in producing good results for a school. Beyond that, there's no value in assessments at all. So we started thinking about these things, and the first thing that mass education itself was set up for people to be able to develop this ability to do mundane things without rebelling. An industrial revolution was happening. We needed lots of people to sort of be part of a poorly automated system. So we needed young people to be able to do mundane activities without rebelling. And it's not just me saying it, right? Very erudite people who have considered this very thoughtfully have all said this over the years. Schools were actually places to carry out large-scale social tasks and trigger social transformation. So if you think about vaccinations, for instance, everybody needs a vaccination, and it's the same vaccination that all of us need. If it's in a different period, it was social segregation. To overcome social segregation, we said schools were the best places to do these things. Schools became, and then values, of course. Everybody having good social values builds good community living, and schools were fundamentally to create these kind of opportunities for large social systems. We need everybody to develop the same exact immunity or trait. But we extended this idea into education and nutrition, where this is not true. Nutrition, everybody needs nutritious food, but everybody doesn't have the same nutritional need. Similarly, in education, everybody needs education, but not one that is designed by administrators and examination boards. It should be based on individual interests and passions. So we were building something that was for everybody, but without considering the differentiation. So when we studied all this, we realized that pedagogy itself, what is pedagogy? It is basically teaching of theoretical concepts. We can't motivate people by teaching them theoretical concepts that someone else is thinking we must all learn. So having studied all these failed systems, we started thinking about how do we design a new education system that is more suited to 21st century living, more suited to these young children becoming adults and thriving in the 21st century. And we started developing modules around public problem solving, around entrepreneurship, empathy, leadership, creativity, team working, all of this. But over time, we realized that this too wasn't solving the problem at all. On the one hand, employers only wish to employ people with passion and purpose. And here we were in all our school systems, setting that entire characteristic aside and saying, here is a syllabus that all of us better be all good at equally. So despite our best efforts in building 21st century schools, we were only accommodating children with passion and interest, not really celebrating and enabling them. So I think about 2 years ago, I would say we started putting together all these things which we had sort of developed over 15 years in reimagining education, which is now called Beyond 8. It's an education that enables young people to pursue their passion and interests, and so that they can be excited by the opportunities ahead of them and thrive in doing the things that they desire the most. I will let Raji tell you a little bit about how learning happens in many ways and how you can thrive in this period of quarantine. So that's a short introduction about Beyond 8.
Thank you very much, Naveen. And thank you all of you for stepping out of the box with Beyond 8. Desperate times call for desperate measures. For a person who derives energy from meeting people, from seeing the smiles on individuals, from talking to people in person, to be able to just see myself on the screen, it is quite unnerving and it's very unusual too. And not just for me, right? It is for almost every single person in this world. Teachers who are used to teaching to an energetic classroom, to look at those small signals, to understand if children are understanding a concept or not. Examination boards who actually, their main objective is to administer an examination and then grade children on it. They are looking at different aspects of how they can grade learners without actually conducting an examination. And if you look at universities that are used to looking at entrance examination scores, looking at final examination scores, and then looking at enrolling learners, are now saying, we don't want any of these things because they have not been conducted, but we would actually like to see the learner as a whole and then decide if we would like to enroll that student into our campus. So you can see that there are so many changes happening, right? And that itself is proof to say that the coronavirus pandemic is one of the biggest black swans that we have seen in the near history. It is actually changing the way we look at the world. It is setting a new world order, right? So how do we take charge of this situation? What do we do now that the world is looking at things anew? How do we also act anew? Here are a couple of things that I would like to talk about. First, discovering interests. This is the perfect time for each one of us, young adults, all of us, to discover our interests, to step out of our comfort zones and to learn something new, think new, reflect and learn something new. And top 8 Ivy League universities in the world are offering so many courses for free, ranging from sciences to politics to history, to architecture, to humanities, arts, science, what have you, right? There are just so many courses that are being offered. Apart from that, Coursera is also offering specific courses for high school learners, again ranging on a variety of topics. And your own friendly neighborhood Beyond 8, learn.beyond8.in. We are offering multiple courses run by our own experts with topics ranging from blockchain technology to entrepreneurship, facilitation as a career, and so many other relevant topics, right? And that's the key word. It's not about just going and signing up for a course and then seeing if you like it or not. Also remembering to seek something that is going to be relevant. Of course, something like a skill is going to help you in the long run. But when you make a choice of a course, it is very important to see something that is futuristic, that is going to give you a better understanding of how the future world is going to look like, rather than choosing something that has been done and dusted in the earlier ages, right? Which might have formed a part of your textbook too. So look for courses that you cannot find in a textbook, that you cannot find in your university or college course, that can actually enable you to be ready for the future, and which is more current in the way it is looking at concepts, right? So discover interest. Look at me. I have never done an online session before, and here I am trying to learn what it means to be live on a social media platform. Second thing, we're all privileged, and we constantly talk about privileges, right? I'm able to sit in front of a laptop in a nice, beautiful house, eat 3 meals a day, maybe 4 or 5 extra. But what about the others who are not able to do the things that we are able to do in this type of situation? So what do we do in that scenario? I'm actually seeing many young adults play a wonderful role in this situation. I'm seeing children take money for campaigns. They are actually spreading the word about campaigns that are going on that will provide money for the poor, for the underprivileged. I'm seeing learners go out and talk to the support staff about social distancing, about the things that they can do to keep themselves safe. I'm seeing also young adults playing the back end for organizations that are helping people on the ground. So these people are becoming the call center, and they are trying to become the coordinators for these initiatives. So while you discover your interests and you find new things to learn, it is very important for you to empathize and support the work going around you. It could be by donating money. It could be by donating your services. It could be just supporting a peer's campaign, whatever. But pitch in, take advantage of your privilege and use it for something that is useful, right? And while we talk about our own interests and while we talk about the world's needs, what about the house? The house itself is a huge organization, right? There are household chores that are mundane and that have to be done almost on an every single day, on a daily basis, right? And more often than not, young adults don't even know what these chores are, because they are busy going for some coaching, and then they go to school, they go for tuition, and then they have to relax too. Then they have homeworks that have been piled up, and there is no time really to contribute into what goes on in the house. This is a perfect time to discover household chores. And these household chores actually prepare you for independent living in the future. They also, while you do that brooming and you do mopping and you wash your vessels, they are also very good time for diffuse thinking to kick in, and for you to think about and reflect on the things that you're doing, the things that you would like to pursue, the courses that you're learning. And it is just so nice to understand what goes into running the household. So discover your interests, learn new courses, try to contribute to the other campaigns that are going around you in helping out people, and look at your own household too, see how you can contribute. And now you have this beautiful time that is available. Usually time is the reason that we put away most things, right? We are trying to be in this rigmarole of trying to just wake up, go to some place, come back, sleep, wake up, come back. So there is no real time for building relationships, for building deeper bonds. This is that time for building relationships with our peers, with friends, with cousins. I'm seeing examples of people playing rummy and Monopoly and putting a dance together or doing a coordinated exercise workout. There are so many ways to connect with our cousins and friends and peers now, just because we have the time and everyone is also at home. So use this time to create those bonds, to just cherish the memories that you will have once all of this pandemic is, it's just past us, right? And about the grandparents in your house too, they will be all the more unanchored. They will feel maybe depressed because of this situation. So what would it be to actually talk to them, understand how the world was for them, learn a new skill from them? And finally, maybe a course that a parent and a learner can do together. Of course, this is not about a fault-finding mission on how learners can do way better in learning that course, but it's more about just understanding and learning something new. I've seen one of our thought enablers at HLC doing a music video with her daughter, and it's such joy when you're learning something new, and that too with your child. It is a very special feeling. So when you look at this time that the COVID pandemic has offered us, it's a gift, I would say. I know that learners are feeling unanchored. Learners who are used to going to a place, meeting their teachers, meeting their mentors, and meeting their peers. It is a moment to feel unanchored and maybe a moment to feel depressed and anxious too. However, when we spend time developing our own interests, helping others, forming bonds, and doing chores that may be mundane, but they actually drive our own lives, it's a beautiful way to just tide this whole period over and finally get ready for the new normal that we are going to visualize in a couple of months. Hopefully a couple of weeks, couple of months, sooner rather than later. But what we did during this period is what will count. And I'm hoping that through the different guests who will be coming in to speak at Beyond 8 and the courses that are available, we are able to explore all of the different possibilities that are in front of us and maybe make a habit of this to sustain even after the pandemic. Let's think anew and act anew. Over to you, Naveen.
Okay, so Raji pointed to so many wonderful things that all of you can do in this period. One of the things is learning, and we believe that you can continue just as well during this pandemic. So some of the speakers, we are actually bringing on board expert speakers to speak in out of the box, starting with my own brother, Dr. Ashwin Mahesh. He's skilled at so many things. I can't even fully capture all the things he does. He's an urbanist, journalist, a technologist. He's also the founder of India's first and biggest B2B taxi service called Lithium. So he will be speaking on public problem solving during a pandemic. We'll also have Aladi Mahadevan, again, my own classmate from school, dear friend, a farmer, founder of Green Embryo. He'll be talking about life skills you can pick up from staying home. He's on Facebook and Twitter and currently helping a lot of farmers pull through this pandemic. So, don't miss that session. We'll have Hari, who's the founder of Fit Kits. He'll be talking about 5 ways for athletes and sports persons to tide over this quarantine period. Then our own expert learning facilitator from HLC, Mr. Ishwaran, he will be talking about upskilling during isolation and making online learning work for you, for the learner. And the last one that has confirmed for the 5 upcoming out-of-the-box sessions is a very young and dynamic entrepreneur, very popular, Zubair Junjunia. He's the founder of Z Notes, an amazing young man. He'll be talking about navigating through the web and using online tools to your advantage and to continue your learning. So I hope this session was useful in some ways, both to understand that an alternative to schooling exists and it is possible to put together an amazing learning journey for every learner in these years. And there are some wonderful, wonderful, amazingly skilled people that are willing to enable young people in learning and co-create an alternate ecosystem. It's about time we stop doing things for an industrial age and preparing young people just to do mundane activities without rebelling. Let's recognize that they have passions, they have interests, and it's our duty to enable them in the best possible way that we can. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful rest of the day.
Thank you, Naveen and Raji, for your insights. This was indeed a very, very insightful session. To sum it up in one line, which Raji said, if you're trying to build the future, our learning should come from the future and not of the past. We go through an education system which is 200 years old. It's time for us to relook at it. It's time to look at embracing the new normal. Thank you for all of you for joining our live session today. Just as a reminder, this is a session that will repeat on every Friday. It'll be at 11 a.m. on most days. And please follow us on our social media handles. On Facebook, it is Beyond 8. We will be posting details about all our sessions here and also on our Instagram handles. All right. Just a quick reminder of a couple of URLs for you to note. If you like to take the free courses at your option right now, visit learn.beyond8.in. I've left a comment in the chat section for you to refer back. If you'd like to know more about what we do at Beyond 8, especially our high school program, which is an alternative to schooling, visit beyond8.in. Once again, thank you all for being here, and big thank you to our moderators, Raji and Naveen. Enjoy the rest of your day and the weekend ahead. And we hope you stay safe from the pandemic. Thank you.